interest of the professors here are financial economics.
Something with sound, I cannot hear you.
Yeah, so we have one student alumni that link between you and I. Beliau Sumandi. So
ini nggak ada, maksudnya mikrofonnya nggak ada. Pas jadi gitu, jadi mungkin tergantung sama ini. Tapi ini lancar Pak.
Iya.
Nggak lancar.
Oke. Atau pakai Mas Tugi aja. Nomor laptopnya, sebentar. Desktopnya. Bisa pakai anu. Sorry, Prof. I have a little bit signals problems. So let me give just 2 minutes, Prof, to settle, please.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, Prof. Sorry. Sorry, Mas ya. Ini saya. Can you hear my voice, Prof?
Yes, I am here. I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah. Okay, Prof. Okay. Sorry for just technical error here, Prof. Okay. Dear student and sisters and brothers. So here we are so glad and honored to have Professors Magdalena, who is currently the head departments of economics and also professors in economics from Nicolaus Copernicus University in Torun, Poland. And actually, Poland and Indonesia, Prof, has the same flag, Prof. Quite similar in terms of flag. So we have red and white, and you white and red. So the opposite direction.
Okay.
So the same flag actually. And now the professors is going to discuss with us the issue about the economics of European unions. So actually, Prof, when I was taking my master degree 10 years ago, I'm taking a course or thesis on the proposed formation of the single currency for the ASEAN countries, bro. So at the moment was I try to build a single currency area for the ASEAN 5 at the moment, but still a proposal because the ASEAN here still not yet having that single currency, but little bit learning from the experience of the European at the moment since 1957, if I'm not mistaken. So the single currency in the European Union took place around 1999 and effectively undertaken in 2002. So looking at the general overview of the European experience, I may say that the establishment of the single currency in European countries seems to be top-down. So the political leaders were committed to set up the single currency, but the idea of single currency in ASEAN, if I'm not mistaken, is bottom-up, convergence, but very difficult to find out the convergence because some requirements must be met, isn't it? The inflation, the deficit, also the exchange rate fluctuation, so many difficulties in order to set up or develop the single currency. So now, dear sisters and brothers, the professors will explain and discuss with us the economics of European Union in details, and she will discuss also the history and also how the process, and in the end, she also discuss about what the impact of the single currency towards European economy. So, Prof, time is yours, Prof, please.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dimas. I am very happy being with you here. I hope that you can see my presentation. Can you see this presentation, Economy of European Union, Selected Issues? Yes, please confirm if you can see my screen.
Yes, Prof. Please.
Yes, thank you very much, because it is important for me, because otherwise, of course, it is nobody knows. Okay, so first of all, thank you very much for inviting me for this presentation. I am proud indeed, because I met your previous student, former student Sumandi, who really invited me to contact with Dr. Dimas. So I think that probably Sumandi was glad with my lectures. Although I must say that my main specialty is econometrics, and this course which Sumandi was taught with me was really heavy econometric course. So if he was glad, I am happy again. And now I would like to tell you, because our university is a research university since 2 years, so we became one of 10 most notable universities in Poland, and our university's name is after Nicolaus Copernicus. You must know, great astronomer born in 15th century, so a very long time ago. But Nicolaus Copernicus was actually born in Torun, in our city. That is why everything in Torun is related to Nicolaus Copernicus. And you can see on the left-hand side, you can see the picture of our medieval old city, yes, old town. So this is the nice view over the river. And on the right-hand side, you can see the campus, university campus. Here it is just the gate and the office where rectors is sitting, and so on and so forth. So it is just for some presentation. My main specialty, as I already tell you, is econometrics. By today, I want to speak a lot about econometric techniques, so don't be afraid about this. As Dr. Dimas already said, my topic is about economy, just special, selected issues about economy and economics of European integration. It is only, a glance, because the topic in details is very complicated and very multi-tiered, so it is not possible to tell it to you in short lecture. The agenda is as follows. Let me start with regional integration, some basic concepts, then types of regional economic integration, a brief characteristics of the European Union. Then we will go to these topics Dr. Dimas already mentioned, I mean monetary union and European Central Bank system, and a little bit about some economic convergence and divergence, because in recent years we also can observe some divergence tendency, and we will discuss it a little bit, and if time is still open, I will show you some numbers also in Excel. So now let me start from general concept of regional integration. Regional integration, everybody feel what it is more or less, but in general, what is for regional integration? The reason to introduce regional integration is to help countries to overcome division that make difficult the flow of goods, services, capital, people, and ideas. And this is very important. And what is different between European Union and Asian countries? It is territorial complexity. Yes, European Union is lying almost on one territory. Some islands belonging to Greece and some other islands are not very important here. So the territory is very much coincide. That is why, you know, the connections, yes, between particular economies are really strong. Why I'm talking about, because the division can be created also by geography, yes, because some geographical territories somehow excluded from the others, and this is a barrier for free trade, for mobility, for everything. And of course, other are poor infrastructure and inefficient policies, which are barriers to economic growth, particularly in developing countries. As concerns the history of European Union, you must know that division was made not just by geographical barriers, but by the political barriers, because for 50 years, more or less, yes, 45 years, Poland belonged to hopefully finished post-communist territory, and in those times it was just the influence of the communist parties and communist view of economy and also policy, and it was, you know, like we were very close to Germany, to other countries, but we felt like close because of this political reasons. So it is a little bit different in comparison to let's say your country, but also it is very strong you know, difference between the country, these two groups of countries, I mean modern Western countries and post-communist countries. And of course, regional integration can be promoted through common physical and institutional infrastructure. And I am working for the Department of Economics, and now I can see that many institutional economies is a great stream of ideas, particularly new institutional economics, that not only, you know, heavy, hard indicators like GDP or like inflation or like unemployment rate. Yes, everybody know these indicators, but also political, but also social institutions, formal institutions, and non-formal institutions. All these elements which are related to some legal connections, social connections, yes, some customs simply. This is very also very important in modern development of modern contemporary economics. Regional integration requires cooperation between countries in trade, investment, domestic regulations, also transport, ICT technology, information communication technology, energy infrastructure, also macroeconomic and financial policies, and provision of other common public goods, for example, sharing natural resources, some security also, yes, like in the European Union after the introducing Schengen zone, yes, there is common custom policy, so it is a lot of different possibilities, and they must be, everybody know how it works, but it must be adjusted to the country, to the specific country, because everybody knows what is good for economics. Yes, maybe not everybody, but many scientists, many researchers, many politicians know, but they are a lot of particular interest, and how to adjust a specific, democratic institution. I mean, institution meaning not only by law, but also by some agreement, yes, but also by some social context. It is very hard, and I think it is the hardest part of regional integration. So this is why there are many regional integration elements, and some of them are not working properly. If you are looking for some advantages and disadvantages for regional integration, you can see here some pros and cons, of course, and I think I would say that pros are bigger than cons, but of course we should take into account also disadvantages and some concerns, because they are also natural. We should recognize them, and we should also somehow manage with them. So if you look at pros, they are improving market efficiency. Yes, market is more transparent. The market is unique, the single market, so you have the same rules on the market, etc. And then you have to share, you can share the cost of public goods on large infrastructure projects, for example, European road between let's say, North and South Europe. Yes, so each country is participating in some parts of this road, but the European Union is financing a lot of this project. So it is cooperation between the countries. So it is not possible for one country to do so. Another thing is to dedicate policy cooperatively and have an anchor to reform. Yes, so it is also important because, for example, there are some rules taken by the European Union for the, let's say, economic issues, like 60% of GDP for public debt. Of course, it is not always, satisfied by each country. No, if you look at the data, some countries much exceed this rule. But anyway, this rule is working in such a way that even these countries who are exceeding this limit, yes, have to make some explanation and have to think some reform how to decrease possibly this ratio, just to satisfy this, let's say, safe indicators, yes, safe information coming from the European Union. Of course, building a block for global integration, because we have different aspects of integration, and of course some non-economic benefits such as peace and security. Yes, a huge area is much safer for different interventions. Of course, Poland is also belonging, and many countries from the European Union are also belonging to this NATO organization, army organization. But we can see also some cons, and we should also take into account them. So countries can have different preferences for priorities for regional integration. Some are developing faster, some are developing slower. Some countries have, more open authorities, and some countries have, let's say, more close, yes, more intended towards internal factors, authorities. And there are some waves. Sometimes people are more open, sometimes people are more closed. So this is a specific element which can be related to connectivity gaps, economic geography preferences for sovereignty in some areas, not in each area, but maybe in some areas. Also, the impact on trade and investment flow allocation is difficult to assess. As I compare the European Union before, for example, Poland before the European Union access, so it was before 2004, yes, here in 2004, it was the year of the accession. This element, I would say that Poland benefited much, very much. So I am absolutely for. I am absolutely voting for economic integration, because I would say when you have let's more or less homogeneous area, because we can say that Europe is more or less homogeneous. It is based on very similar values, a very similar ideas, some similar history. Yes? So maybe for some, let's say, of course, homogeneous is too strong, but let's say that almost homogeneous history, maybe it is easier than in some other areas when this homogeneity is not so strong. Then is of course some lack of institutions, and in institutions it is very big differences between countries, even in Europe, and also for particular parties, yes, the regional integration is creating some winners and some losers. So if somebody, yes, if somebody or some maybe sector of economy, yes, is gaining, of course they are for. If they are losing, yes, because of some policy, they are against. So these are some very delicate elements which have to be into account. But the general idea of regional integration is very good, but details should be of course worked out in a specific area. What are the four main types of economic integration? Probably you know it, but maybe I don't know about the students. That's why I decided to say something. There are four main types. These types are, inclusive. So I mean that the first is nested in the second is nested in the third, and so on. So this weakest form of economic integration is just free trade area, and this is just for economic cooperation. Just you can independently determine trade policy with non-member, but you are allowed to make free trade inside this type of community. And North American Free Trade Agreement is one of the examples. Another is just the custom union. So you not only, it is similar to the first one, but you not only allowed for free trade within the community, but also you have the same policy to non-member state. Yes, so you are adjusting the same policy for not only for trading with your partners, but also for trading with non-members. And then you have the common market. The common market allows creating economically integrated markets between member countries. So the trade barriers are removed. Then also the labor and capital between member countries are freely allowed to flow freely. And then for working in another country, you don't you no longer need to have a visa or work permit, and so on. And of course, economic union is the most advanced element of integration, because not only the economic agreement is made in particular cases, but also many common economic policies are adopted. And this example of the European Union is the most developed example. This is the most developed integration example. But also some authors indicate that the next step is political integration or political union, and also European Union has some features of political integration, but it is not exactly related to the economy. That is why I skipped this political union as some extra thing. If you are looking at the history of the European Union, you should bear in mind that the European Union was created after the World War II. It was very heavy because after the World War II, of course, Germany and Italy, which belong to the Nazi, parties, yes, and they adopted not democratic rules, and they started the Second World War in Europe. They were neighbors. Yes, we are neighbors to Germany. Some countries are neighbors to Italy. Yes, and how to cooperate? Of course, Poland was in those times under the influence of the Soviet Union, but for example, France. Yes, France was the enemy of Germany, and now they need to cooperate. And the beginning of the European Union was to create the platform for cooperation, for international cooperation, for enemies, yes, for countries who are really lying very closely, but they used to be enemies, and now they have to rebuild their connections, yes, and their other elements. So it is the history, very deep history. But after all, in 1958, it is a very great date, so I only mention it here. The European Economic Community was established. It was, as you can see, 13 years after the end of the World War II, and 6 countries were included into this community. It is Belgium, Germany, France, Italy, Luxembourg, and the Netherlands. So Germany and Italy were from the previous enemies, yes, and now of course not. And some democratic countries who fight against the Nazi regime. And after this period, many other countries were included into the European Economic Community, which in 1993 changed its name from European Economic Community just to the European Union. So you can see it now. Now it is 28 years of the European Union. You can see, and you should know that European Union now is consisted of from 27 countries, because it was 28, but after Brexit, yes, which took place last year in 2020, the United Kingdom left the European Union. Of course, the agreement about leaving the European Union was signed, but there are, of course, many legal issues which are still under development on both sides, yes, European Union and the United Kingdom. So now we have 27 countries, and now this political union, I mean common policy of the European Union is going into such political areas like climate change, environmental change, also health. In the period of pandemic, it is absolutely obvious, and also some relations to security, justice and migration. The migration crisis in 2015 was that which showed that some that openness is okay, but there some rules must be done with that because it is not possible just simply to economically not possible to operate in this it's such a huge threat of migration from Africa and from this is Asia, but close east. So when you are using at the European Union, you can see here the territory, but not all countries which are put in the map are included into the European Union, because I copied this map from the Eurostat, and they also include some countries which are more or less reporting, yes, their reports to the European Union. So you can see here 27 countries, some islands, but these islands are very, very rare, and these islands are belonging to some countries. So you have, for example, Madeira belongs to Portugal and so on. So these islands are not important in Europe. Yes, of course they are important as a territory, as a people, but not important as a separate countries, I would say. So if you say on this GDP per inhabitant in 2020, because it is important, you can see that, of course, all countries are somehow diversified. The Western countries, you can see this dark color, dark brown. Yes, it is dark brown color. It is just for richest countries. Here, this gray, it is not included. Yes, so this is United Kingdom, also Albania and Kosovo. Here, these countries are not included. So this gray color is not important for us. But you can see Norway, you can see Denmark. Yes, you can see Luxembourg. You can see Switzerland, you can see Ireland, Iceland, the countries which are really rich. But you must imagine that Iceland, Norway, and also Switzerland do not belong to the European Union, but they have another trade union, free trade association called EFTA, and they strongly cooperate with European Union. So I can go to Norway without passport. I can use only my ID, my personal ID from Poland, and it is enough. So this cooperation is very strong. So looking at the richest country, you can see Scandinavian countries, Ireland, which is very, very interesting case. I make some research on in Ireland, but I don't think that today we have time to discuss it. But only in two sentences, I would say that Ireland is so much developed because it was a very poor country. Yes, it was a very poor agricultural country. And Ireland is so rich for two reasons. One reason is that it is closely related to education in English. So this is an English-speaking society. So the language barriers were omitted in contacts with United States and with the United Kingdom. So it is one point. But the most important point is that they agreed for three-party agreements. So they even agreed to reduce wages, yes, to reduce salaries. It is very hard to reduce salary, you can imagine. And they agreed for some years to reduce salaries just to enable the economic development, and now they are one of the richest countries in the European Union. So Poland is here, and now when you compare Polish GDP per capita, Polish GDP per capita is about 15,000 of US dollar. Here it is in euros, so it is about 13 euros. Yes, because of the exchange rate. But this picture shows you some information in euros. So you can see that many countries are anyway, they are improving all the time, but of course, when you compare, yes, rich countries, previous rich countries, and those countries which were trying to transform and which transform their economies from the post-communist countries, of course, they are going towards some better standing. I will show you it in Excel. Can you say me? Can you see the Excel file now? Yes. Can you see this Excel, these numbers?
With Excel, Prof. Not yet,
Yes,
Prof.
with Excel.
Maybe
Not yet.
you need to stop first. Yeah, you need to stop first the
Maybe,
existing data files, and then you
Okay,
replace with the
okay.
new files.
But now
Right.
you can see this. You can see this. Okay, so now we will go. We will go using this slides, and then if we have time, then I will show you something in Excel, because I would like to show you that each country over the years, yes, is improving. Of course, with some structural break, like for example this pandemic, because pandemic stopped a lot, but not only in Europe, in each country. Okay, so what are the benefits for Poland? Because maybe you are interested why I am supporting this European Union and European integration so much. So first of all, it is because of cohesion policy. So cohesion policy is just for the territory, for infrastructure. Yes, so this is just to make the infrastructure enough developed to make business connections with other countries, and public infrastructure, I mean motor road, yes, and also some local and country specific road, and also some bridges, some other elements. They were really very strongly developed, and also there is a division between Eastern Poland and Western Poland. It is also a historical dependence. So even a special program was particularly devoted to the eastern part of Poland, which was, developing slower in comparison to the western part. So it was one thing. Next thing, of course, is net transfer. When you are becoming the European Union, the country must pay some share to the whole budget, but at the beginning, poorer countries are not allowed to pay very much. So in general, net transfer were supporting Poland, so they were positive. Yes, so we paid less than we got from the European Union. And of course, many much of these funds were directed towards local governments. In Poland, local governments is on the level of the province, let's say. In Poland, we call it voivodeship, and these provinces are not very big, but some of them are as big as some countries. For example, in comparison to very small countries, these Polish provinces are as big as some countries. And democratic institutions like authorities, local authorities, yes, they were strongly developing this type of institution, and they were also responsible for sharing these funds. Yes, so it was really not only the central government, but also the local governments got their power, but by improving the local environment. It is very important. Another is also Poland allowed substantial funds from common agricultural policy. Polish agricultural products are very strong. There are a lot of agricultural product, particularly meat, but also milk product, and also some, grain products. So we have a lot to offer, and this is for this sector is also a substantial help. Another element is important because having access to internal market, Poland became one of the biggest partner for European Union and particularly for Germany. For Germany, I think that the bilateral trade is the biggest because it is our neighbor, of course. And the second thing, it is very, very strong country, one of the richest in the European Union. And this country exports a lot and imports a lot and located a lot of factories in Poland. Yes, motor industry is very close to Poland and Germany. So many connections were found. And of course, it is worth to say that we should also take into account such possibility like study, yes, some possibility of free study in the European Union countries, to work in the European Union countries. Many Polish people migrated to the United Kingdom, to Ireland, yes, to find their places, their jobs, and of course traveling around Europe. So it is, you know, what we need just to have, just to buy a ticket, and we can travel by train or by plane, but not necessarily not now because of the pandemic. But I mean about the general rules. Of course, there are some concerns. One of the concern is, you know, the concern related with the crisis of 2008, 2009, when the economies generally suffered much from subprime crisis. So it was also related also with Polish market. Also this migration crisis, so how much people can come to European Union and work and so on. So it is another issue. And now pandemic is also not optimistic. Yes, the period of pandemic is not optimistically optimistic incentive for people. And together with Brexit, some people may say, okay, what for is this European Union? And I think that in many families such discussion has took place. But if you look at this from the some perspective, yes, from objective perspective, and the incentives and the pros are much better. Okay, so let's go to the monetary union. Monetary union and monetary policy in the European Union is done by the European system of central banks. And this European system of central banks consists of the European Central Bank and the national central banks of the European Union member states. And this is under the treaty for European Union. Here you can, I mentioned this article from the treaty. It is you know, the European system of banks acts with free competition, favoring an efficient allocation of resources, which is, you know, the most important rule. And the European Central Bank is directly accountable to the European Parliament. But what is the primary objective of the European system of central banks is to maintain price stability. Yes, to maintain price stability. What are the reasons for that? Because inflation was one of the most suffering for economies factors which stopped economic developments in many countries for many years. So that is why price stability is the most important. You can observe also that deflation is not very promising for the economy. As you can see that even the economy is such rich country like Japan in Asia. Yes, you can see that they have problems with deflation. So when the prices are decreasing, price level is decreasing, so there are no incentives for investment. Yes, of course, Japanese government cope with this deflation for many years, and they found their way to live with it, and of course successfully live with it. But it is not the rule that any other country will follow this type of economic development. So it is very, very hard. So
Sorry, Prof. You still
yes?
you have 5 minutes left, Prof. You
5
have
minutes
5
what?
minutes left. 5 minutes left. Sorry. You
5
have
minutes.
5 minutes left.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so,
Thank you. No, only 5
so you
minutes.
have...
I thought that 15 minutes, but only 5. Oh,
Okay. Go ahead, Prof. Please.
I'm sorry, because I thought that I have more time. Okay, so because I prepared more slides that you told me. Okay, so now if you look at this monetary policy, maybe I don't look at these pillars like economic analysis and monetary analysis, because one is done in short term, in another is done in the long term. But if you look at the price stability in the European Union, you can take into account different indicators. And in this dashed line, it is just 2% maximum inflation rate. So it means that I simply marked the stable level. Of course, in general, the numbers are a little bit different, but if you have this stable level, yes, as assumed at 2% of price rising, you can compare the house index. And if you compare the house price index, yes, you can see very, very huge departure, not only for European Union, but also for Poland. Here in blue is Poland, and in let's say red or brown color, I don't know which you can see, but more or less it is brown. This color is for European Union house index, and you can see that, of course, the general price level is not increasing in a huge rate, but the prices of real estates are trying to, I don't know, maybe it is not a bubble, but it looks, yes, like starting a new bubble. Now, of course, the price level for Poland is much lower than for the European Union as a whole, but the index, I mean the increase in prices, yes, recently is much higher, as you can see. So maybe it is a creation of a new bubble. And what the European Union said, the European Union said also that there is the incentive to include a house price index into the stability policy. So probably it will be somehow included and somehow controlled. So it is a good issue. And of course, when you are looking at monetary integration, at the moment, 19 countries are included into the euro area. Poland is not. Poland has its own currency called Polish zloty. You know, in some periods it was better for Poland. For example, in the period of crisis of 2008 and 2009, it was better because Polish internal market was huge. Prices are lower than average in the European Union, so that is why it was better to overcome the negative elements of the crisis. But of course, if you have on the other side, if you have some risk, of course, stronger currency is maybe more very valuable. So if Dr. Dima will construct his model, yes, probably he will consider several possibilities, several variants of the model for different possibilities, because it is not one possible one answer. Okay, yes, it is good to take a monetary union. No, it is much more complicated. And here you can see the euro and US dollar exchange rate, and here it is from 2010, this indicator, this exchange rate, and you can see the crisis in euro area. So the euro was much weaker, yes, so more euro you should pay for $1, and of course now it is much more or less similar, a little bit higher euro to dollar, but it is much better, much closer to one, yes, because we assume that one is the let's say fair indicator, yes, fair limit. Okay, so I have also something about the economic convergence, and if you give me 2 minutes, because of course maybe you yes, thank you. So, because of course it is a macroeconomic theory concept, and probably you know that Barrow and Saline Martin introduced this concept, and it is very common and very popular when the regional integration is analyzed. Yes, so it is very important, very important level. What is the convergence? So the convergence is considered in 2 ways. One way, which is more easier, and I will show you some data. This type of convergence is that in a group of countries, the differences between the countries are diminishing, are smaller, become smaller over time, yes? So we are closer, let's say, to our richer neighbor. Poland, for example, and Germany, we are neighbors, and we are closer to the German standard of living. Of course, economic convergence can be measured by different indicators, but typically GDP per capita, GDP per inhabitant is the most common measure. Of course, we can discuss about the measures of convergence, but it is another issue. But there is also another type, another concept of convergence, which means that your country, a given country, is reaching its equilibrium state, yes, and this equilibrium state is determined by the situation of the entire economics. And this type of convergence is, of course, more rich in research. It is called a beta convergence. The first one, I mentioned that the differences between countries are going to be smaller, are sigma convergence. And only I wanted to show you some figures, only two slides I have. The first slide is showing the difference, I mean the standard deviation divided by the mean value, yes, so this variability coefficient. So if you calculate within the same group of the country variability coefficient in the year, let's say 90, 95, 96, 97, and so on and so forth, yes, you can then put it in figure and show the trend. And if the trend is decreasing, yes, if the direction of the trend is decreasing, you can observe sigma convergence. So it means that these countries are closer, are going to be closer. And from the period of 1995 till the crisis of 2008, it was really a strong tendency towards sigma convergence and toward beta convergence in the European Union. There was a lot of papers on convergence in those days. But now, I simply calculated it for this, particularly for this lecture, and I measured this convergence having the same, of course, the same data, so standard deviation of GDP per capita divided by mean in the years starting from 2011 till 2020, and here you can see that maybe from 2011 till 2015. Yes, it was again a little tendency. I would say it was a tendency towards convergence, but the changing point, it was 2015. It was the migration crisis. Yes, so many people travel from Africa and from East Asia. Western Asia, sorry, to come to Poland, and here you can observe some opposite direction, and the general coefficient is positive. So this means that there is no convergence at all. And going to conclusion, we should say that after COVID pandemic, of course, we should look for some new challenges and of course some new opportunities. So possible chances are from sustainable development goals, from technological development and its challenges, from climate change policy, because we have to organize ourselves towards the climate policy, and also with globalization, which becomes more and more stronger than we even thought. So this is the end. I have the last slide here, and thank you very much for your attention. Thank you, Dr. Dimas, for inviting me for this lecture. Thank you very much.
Most welcome, professors, for enlightening presentations. I'm so enlightened with your presentation just now about the issue of multi-unions, that if I may post some important notes from the presentation that you have made just now, is European Union actually is the process of integrating not only the economics per se, but also trying to unite the trade, the custom, common markets, and even the political unions, even political aspects. But some issues that is taking place right now in terms of the unitary union is that in terms of the convergence. So convergence is the main issue, because if the country is not converged, then it is very difficult to join, because they have different level of economic development. So, and the last one, the point is that in the European Union, we have European Central Banks, which is the main banks, the lead bank, which will generate the monetary policy within the members. Yeah. So there are some notes that I can take from the professors. And now I open the session for Q&A to the students or participants here. You may post so many issues, so many questions, comments, or maybe feedback from the professor's presentation just now. Please, time is yours, participants and students.
Yes,
so we have until, yes, Prof?
Yes, it's okay. I will waiting, of course, for your questions. I don't know if I could answer them all, but I am open to read them. Or to
yes, Prof. Okay, please, students and participants, we'll have a Q&A session until 3:30 p.m. Indonesian time. So we have 30 minutes time, please. Any questions? Okay, so if you have no question, meanwhile, maybe I just want to raise this question to Prof. I just want to get your feedback, Prof. So this is the thing that I collected 10 years ago when I studying about multi-unions in the master degree, the moment that the European Union basically coming back through the Maastricht criteria, Maastricht treaties, and in 1950s, whereby the Maastricht criteria were government budget deficit must be 3% GDP, debt must be 60%, plus inflation you mentioned just now, convergence of interest rate, and enhanced and exchange rate stability. So my question is, what is the Poland economy right now, Prof? By the way, before and after joining the AU, in terms of these indicators, Prof, whether the Poland economy has been moved towards this Maastricht criteria agreement, Prof, by the way.
Yeah, thank you for your question. Yes, Poland was included into the European economic, and this criteria was really satisfied. And now, even if you are looking at the national debt as the percent of the GDP, it is the 60%. Maybe now it is a little bit, because I don't know the exact number for 2020. Yes, but up to 2020. it was even below this. It was even below this indicator, 60%. Now, of course, it is before of government help to economy, to some enterprises to overcome this pandemic consequences. Yes, so it may be changed more or less, but anyway, it was like that. As concerned the budget deficit, it was also the 3% of GDP satisfied, and price stability. Now, you know, since 2008. Really, there is a very, very low price level, and I think that it was ensured by this integration with European Union. Although we have all our own currency, we still follow this requirement. But there are some very important issues. First of all, when Poland was transformed from post-communist countries, and it was started in 1989, so it was 30 years ago, 32 years ago, it will be in June, it will be 32 years from these times. At the beginning, it was a huge inflation. Nobody knows what is the price level yet. And after 5 years, it was successful from Polish Ministry of Finance and Central Bank president, who really managed to lower this price level, and also the currency was exchanged. It means that it was devaluation of Polish zloty. Yes, we changed one new Polish zloty was corresponding to 10,000 of old Polish zloty. So you can imagine what was the price level. But after this years, it was in 1993, it was going to start better. What was, you know, in Poland an issue? It was relatively a low level of salaries for, I mean, minimum salaries. And for a very long time, the salary level was not increased. In last year, in recent years, starting from 2016, it was some new program of the government who started to increase the minimum salary, but also a salary which is paid by you know in industry, yes, in enterprise sector. It was really increasing. Taxes became almost not changed. Of course, there are some changes in taxes, but at the beginning of inclusion into structures of European Union, the VAT, as value-added tax, was increased, but other taxes remained more or less the same. Sorry. So I can say, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, Prof.
Okay, thank you.
Prof. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, because I cannot see you, and I saw that there are some problems, technical problems. Okay, so taxes remained or more or less the same level. So now it is going to change, that a new economic policy is going to be introduced. But I think that in each country after the pandemic, yes, because nobody knows what to do when you have a lot of enterprises which are surprised, which are threatened with bankruptcy. Yes, so it is of course a very heavy task, and the price level now is really lower than in the European Union, in euro zone. So, for example, our neighbors such as Lithuanians on one side and Germans on the second side, yes, they are coming to border cities in Poland and simply buy food and buy something, whatever, yes, whatever they like. So we can see that, we can observe it. It is good for the economy. So I would say that the you know, perspective was very good thanks to the European Union inclusion. But of course, and external phenomena are very huge now. Yes, I mean pandemic and.
Thank you, Prof. Very detailed explanations that you mentioned that all of the indicators of the metric criteria was met, and then all are satisfied. So in other words, once Poland has already joined the AU, the convergence towards the Maastricht criteria has been satisfied. Okay, dear student and participants, any questions? Or you can just write in the chat box if you don't to talk directly.
I will also extend this response to you, because recently I was the reviewer of one PhD, and this PhD was about, Eastern European currencies in Poland, Romania, I think Czechia and Hungary, in 4 countries. And the author argued that in the time period from entering the European Union until the financial crisis of 2008, more global factors were imposed into determinants of local currencies. Then a little bit change has been observed. I mean, that country-specific factors were more important, and now again it is observed again the global factors dominate over the country-specific. So you can see that there are some cycle, yes, some cycle in this cyclical behavior. Yes,
yeah, yeah.
Just
But here, Prof, there is one issue as well when we talk about the European Union or we talk about economic unions, is the ineffectiveness of the monetary policy. Because when we talk about unions, so the role of central banks of this particular country is diminished, because we have to join and follow what the ACB has promoted or has been set up. So according to your observation so far, how was the monetary policy is taken there? How the monetary policy responds to any shocks, and also how the monetary policy promote the economic growth in the midst of European Union, Prof? Because some issues has been there, yeah.
Yes, you are right. It is a very good. Question, because there are also some country-specific factors for economic growth. For example, in Poland, for economic growth, it is the huge internal market. Yes, it is what you can see that it is really promotes economic growth, because there is still a huge internal demand for different things, like for houses, for infrastructure and other elements. And of course, for example, when you compare such countries like Ireland, they built a new economy using foreign direct investment funds, and also investing in new technological, yes, in high technology companies. So of course there are country specific situation, and we can also indicate some problems with economic growth in such countries like, for example, Greece and Italy. Yes, there are many problems. They are also specific, but so I wouldn't say that economic central bank is. They are trying to promote the economic growth, and now I heard that they are planning to build a new platform based on the blockchain. Of course, it is not a creation a new currency as on the blockchain, but to create on some assets which can be digitalized into the inhabitants or monetary union countries, because Poland is outside of this monetary union, and they try to promote some new forms of savings and investment, and then it can be possibly, I suppose, possibly introduced as the new incentive fund for new investment. But you are right, because after the economic crisis of 2008, 2008 and 2009, a quantitative losing policy is observed. So this monetary policy instruments such as interest rates are very hard to use, because they are close to negative or even negative, yes, real negative, but nominal. Sometimes they are zero, sometimes they are 0 point something, but very, very, very low. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Prof. So your answer is actually confirming what I'm querying so far about the effectiveness of monetary policy, that in some literatures mentioned that in the unions, the fiscal policy is the main instrument to generate economic growth, because the monetary policy has been taken from the central bank to the grand central bank, namely in ECB in this context. Very interesting, Prof. But I have also some issue, Prof, in my mind, is that you mentioned just now about the membership. You mentioned about 27 AU members, but only 19 euro areas in your slide just now, Prof. Could you please give the difference, Prof? What is the 27 and 19? What are the difference between those countries?
Oh, it is very complicated question, because so answer is probably complicated, because you can see those richest countries which organized the European Union. Originally, it was 15 members, yes, from in European Union. So it was UK, it was Ireland, it was Spain, it was Belgium, Netherlands, Germany, France, and so on, and Portugal, and so on and so forth. But these countries organize themselves, and they take the euro, apart from the Great Britain. Yes, Great Britain, of course, has its own currency, but the new members, including Poland also decided to enter the monetary union, but it is, not the year determined, the time determined when we should do it. And now, when the observations are coming from the crisis from 2008 crisis, this is the information that people became, and even politicians became more skeptical. I mean, politicians from Polish Central Bank, also economists from Polish Central Bank, also not only politicians, because politicians are a little bit different class from economists, of course, but economists from Polish central banks, they also became skeptical, because there are several proofs that people are that we could overcome this crisis better than the Eurozone countries. But we are obliged, but I think that in society, it is a little bit skeptical approach, attitude towards gaining monetary union, and politicians are waiting for maybe better time. And of course, if we decide to come to enter the monetary union, I think that some transition must be, and some transition cost must be paid by this, because of price level, because of, if we recalculate our money into euros, yes, for example, the average salary in Poland now is a little bit more than 1,000 of euros, maybe 1,200, yes, maybe something like that. So if we recalculate, it is not big in comparison to Germany, yes. So how to make us, equal in comparison to other countries? It is a question. But some countries, some small countries, like for example Lithuania and Latvia, they entered the monetary union and they cope with this situation. So probably their salaries remain still at that similar level, but they simply are paying in euros. But the rise in prices was observed. Maybe maybe not huge, but was observed. So they are talking to us that it is cheaper to come to Poland to buy something. For example, from Lithuania, which is far close, yes, to Poland. But there are rules that we need to enter the monetary union. Only Denmark has exclusive rule that they are not obliged, yes, but the other countries yes, are obliged to enter the monetary union. But the European Union is not a supervisor for us. Oh, you have to do it tomorrow. Yes, it is not like that. So it is a lot of discussion. So probably it takes time.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Very enlightening answer that European Union actually is developed in order to promote the exchange stability in the beginning, but time goes by, this monetary stability is go beyond and move towards European stability or European economic stability. And this is very great and good, the example of Europe in order to be adapted in the case of Asia, because in Asia right now, Prof, by the way, there is giant economy that now growing rapidly, including Indonesia. You know that Indonesia is one of the greatest in terms of population, Prof. We have 260 million people, Prof, right now. And also we have so many islands, more than 17,000 islands. And also we have so many diverse cultures and languages and geographical aspect, heritage and others. So maybe in the case of Asia or ASEAN, perhaps the European Union is quite difficult because the divergency is there. Divergency is very much as exists in terms of the ASEAN. But in the end, I do agree with you that in the end, that political commitment is the first way how to create this union better, and how to create this union become the home or become the center of the stability in the regions. Yeah. Okay, Prof. We almost in the end of the session, by the way, Prof. And maybe you have some suggestion, Prof, to us, to students here. We are now so many students in the first, second, and third years. Maybe you have motivated words that can be shared to them so that maybe the student can be motivated and inspired by your words in order to maybe pursue the study in overseas, in particular in your great universities, Prof. Please, Prof.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dimas. One thing is that I may say that at our faculty, 18 students from Indonesia are studying.
Wow.
So I think, yes, not only Sumandi. So it is, I'm trying to be familiar with them because, of course, your names are very difficult for us because of the language, but I had such a group that many Indonesian students were studying. What I should say to students, I should say to students that you should study economics. You should study economics and microeconomics and macroeconomics, because if you understand the rules that are governing the economy, yes, if you understand the core issue of economics, you will more easy adopt to new conditions. I know that economics is going to be changed, that now you can observe some economics which is related with electronic economy, yes, which is also related with behavioral aspects, psychological aspects. That is, everything is okay. But if you understand the core economic relationship, you can easily adopt, oh yes, because this was somewhere said, yes, that now we can change a little bit. And this understanding, it's very, very precious for a student and for your future life, I mean your future professional life in economics and also in some companies and in some other elements. And because I am, you know, the person who is teaching statistics and econometrics, I would say maybe not all very complicated models are useful, but there are some simple models, simple techniques which are really useful. For example, for forecasting, for example, for, you know, averaging, for example, for comparison. So I also would say from my experience, because I have 30 years experience, I would say that this should be combined, and today it should be also combined with some computer packages like Python maybe, or other languages. R language, it is also free language for computer programming, because business analytics is what is now needed in the industry. So some foundations of economics, some statistical methods, plus computer programming. I would say that if you have such abilities, you will be the great specialist.
So maybe one day we are pleased to invite you to come to our university to have more research collaborations, and then I wish that one day we can have such joint research and writing together and then publish together in your area and our areas. We love to have that, inshallah, Prof.
I am open to that. You have my contact, you have my email. You are welcome to contact me.
Okay, Prof. Okay, Prof. Before we end, Prof, so we have also here our Dean, Prof, our Dean, Dr. Rizal Yaya here. He wanted to greet you directly, virtually. So time is yours, Dr. Rizal Yaya.
Hey, thank you, Dr. Dimas. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello, Prof. Magdalena.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you, Prof. Thank you so much for your presentation, for sharing your knowledge and information about the economic of European Union. We really thank you. But also I do apologize because before this I have a class so that I promised to Dr. Dimas I will come to the last part of the session. And I did hear you were talking to Dr. Dimas about the possibility of research collaboration. This the thing that we really encourage, that we can have our staff to collaborate with the scholars offices, so that we can have good publication, good research with better output. And I do hear that you open for that opportunity.
Thank you very much. Thank you, David. It is a pleasure for me to meet the Dean of the faculty. Also, I think that my Dean of my faculty, and Vice Dean for International Relations will be open to establish some bilateral collaboration. So, you know, at least one of your former students, Sumandi, was our student, so you can ask him how it works, and you have, you know, very, very, I would say, true information. Yes, not just for me, from myself, but just from your students. So it is very precious. So I am open, of course, for further collaboration in the terms of monetary union for ASEAN, and I wish Dr. Dimas all the best in his effort to getting further diplomas, and I wish all the best to your Dean and to your students. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. Magdalena, and I hope you still be happy accept our next invitation if we have some programs. We have a number of programs beside the visiting professor that we have, the lecture talk. We have also international conference, and also we have the summer school also. That's maybe a possibility suit with your expertise, Prof. Magdalena. Once again, thank you so much, and we look forward for the future collaboration. And hope this not the last. This may be the first. You present to join with our program, and we hope that we can continue in the future also. And I believe the student get the very good understanding on the topic that you deliver. This would be much more deep elaboration rather than we explain all this matter on ourselves. And thank you so much. And I hope also if you can also propose some collaboration between your university with Muhammadiyah University, that's we're very happy for that. And thank you so much. Again, please send my warm regard to your dean, Prof. Magdalena.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you a lot.
Okay. So, Prof, actually, Dr. Rizal Yaya is the alumni of University of Aberdeen, UK. So maybe he is the one that little bit understood about the European Union because he was alumni of the University of Aberdeen, UK.
Aberdeen, yes. Oh, yes, it's a very nice place. Yes, Aberdeen. Yeah.
A lot of Polish in Aberdeen, in the town that I stay in 2009 until 2013.
Yes, Aberdeen is in Scotland, yes?
Yes, that's right, Scotland. Yeah.
Yes, it is Scotland. And I'm asking because to understand you properly, because Scotland is for, European Union, while the UK was against, yes? So Scotland was supporting European Union.
Yeah, very, very unfortunate that UK choose for the Brexit exit.
Yes.
Yeah, but those Scotland actually wants to stay with the
yes,
European
Scotland
Union.
was against Brexit. Yes, that's why
right,
I mentioned.
right.
Yes.
Yeah, this is very interesting on the policy, the politics, and also the economics of the EU and also with the UK. Okay, thank you, Prof.
Okay.
My area on the public-private partnership. I did research on the Scottish School PFI, Private Finance Initiative. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Dr. Rizal and Prof. Mahda, thank you very much for your precious time. And we are so glad and happy to have you, Prof, in this very great occasions. And we do wish that you will join us again next time. And we do wish that we will have so many collaboration, either staff exchange, student exchange, or maybe research collaboration in the futures. So with that, we end this session with thanks, and then please send a warm regards to your dean, your families, and your colleagues over there. And see you next, inshallah. And I end, and thank you, students, all for your attendance. And see you again next week. Good morning or good afternoon, there, Prof.
Yes. Goodbye. Thank you very much.
Goodbye. Okay. Goodbye. Okay.
Goodbye.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Yes, Prof, please.